Welcome back. All right, so very busy Saturday. As you can see, I've got the games for Sunday on the board. I've also got some news at the top of the board. Two games are done. I'll be doing a review of the first three games when that third game is done. And then we'll be working on a review of the other 11 games later on. Anyways, starting off with some news of the day, the Winnipeg Jets getting some bookkeeping done here with Vlad Namestnikov. He signs a 2-year extension with the Jets, $3 million per season. The Winnipeg Jets, despite a lot of talk about, Winnipeg, it's small market and guys don't want to play there and all this stuff. The reality is, once guys are playing in Winnipeg, it's rare that they don't want to play there any longer. Namestnikov, the latest to sign an extension, and of course for Winnipeg, quite the winning streak that they've been on, which is on the line tonight as they're playing in St. Louis. And what we've already seen with the early results is that being hot going into the break doesn't necessarily matter coming out. Maybe not as much. Anyways, Pettersson. So this, we'll see what happens with Elias Pettersson here with Vancouver. He's viewed as day to day. Apparently, he suffered an injury at Four Nations. Now he's considered a game time decision, according to Rick Tocchet, who was just speaking to the media. So Hughes won't be in the lineup. We know that Demko isn't traveling with the team, and Pettersson's seen as day to day a possibility to play tonight or maybe not. Vancouver dealing with a lot of injuries right now. And it's not just the ones, it's key players, right? Your starting goaltender, you're easily your best defenseman, and now one of your top six forwards being out as well, potentially with Pettersson. So the Four Nations, we knew that there was going to be really high viewing numbers for the final, and there was. 9.25 million viewers in the United States, 6.8 million viewers in Canada. I'm going to go ahead and say that 6.8 million is probably low. That 9.25 million is probably low. Probably doesn't take into account how many people might have been watching at a local bar slash pub. I know there were a lot of people in Canada that were, and I guarantee there were a lot of people in the US that were. So those numbers are probably pretty conservative in terms of who was actually watching. Huge, and I've seen people saying, I've seen some comments along the lines of, well, the NHL should do this every year. It would lose its luster if you do it every year. It just becomes just another break. The trick is to make sure that it feels special when it rolls around. So the World Cup in 2028 has some pressure on it after what has been a very successful tournament in 2025. The LA Kings, well, the city of Los Angeles, LA Kings organization, hosting the 2025 NHL entry draft. Apparently, this is going to be confirmed by the National Hockey League today. It is interesting that the draft, of course, is moving to a decentralized model. And so we'll see whether or not they bother having a host city going forward. It's going to be done like some of the others where, teams just make their picks from where they are, from home. And, you'll have the draft picks go up on sort of a stage and have all that. I don't know. It's going to lose something without having all 32 teams in attendance and all the guys going up. Of course, the NHL will find a way to make sure the draft takes as long as humanly possible. The one thing that always baffles me is how much time gets just padded on with the draft, and I would hope that moving to a decentralized model would change that. But advertising dollars speak, thus the money bags here. Because let's be honest here, these ratings for Four Nations are going to lead to a tremendous amount of money for the National Hockey League. So yeah, Team Canada wins and money bags. Anyways, so LA's going to host the event. We'll see how that all turns out. Nico Sturm has been activated off of injured reserve by the San Jose Sharks. Marco Sturm, generation before, and I believe he's a coach. But Nico Sturm off the injured reserve for San Jose as the Sharks get a little bit healthier. For Minnesota today, and I'm not going to get into the result of the game because I know there are people who may not want spoilers, but Brock Faber for Minnesota, coming off Four Nations, and we're seeing some goaltenders get a bit of a rest after Four Nations, those some being Hellebuck and Binnington. Understandable, and some other players, some discussion about whether or not they'd play, but Brock Faber played 30 minutes and 5 seconds in that game against Detroit today. It's the fourth time this season he's gone above 30 minutes of ice time in a game. Brock Faber's a fantastic defenseman, and I think the tournament that we just saw finish has really revealed just how excellent a defenseman that he is. Does not play like a young defenseman, absolutely plays like a veteran. So, moving along into the preview portion of the program, and there are 10 games tomorrow, and every team with an asterisk plays today. has either already played or is playing today. There are a lot of back-to-backs. Back-to-backs from here are going to be pretty common. This schedule gets very crazy from here. So we have a game starting at 10 o'clock Pacific, 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern. The latest games, though, are 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern. So I don't know that I'm going to have a review for the first 2 games on their own, and then the other 8. I may very well just have all 10 games reviewed together. So starting at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, the Edmonton Oilers in Washington. This should be a fun one. The Oilers, top team in the Pacific as we speak. They are tied with Vegas. And then the Washington Capitals, of course, looking to continue their trend towards winning the East. And so this could be a Stanley Cup final matchup. We can go that far with it. Let me know who you think wins that. And then 2.5 hours later, 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific, the New York Rangers and the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Rangers trending, I think, closer to the playoffs. I've seen people saying, oh, they'd have to have a ridiculous record from here. But they're only 3 points back of a playoff spot coming into today's action. So the Rangers in good shape. The Penguins, though, looking to play spoiler and looking to claw their way maybe back into the race, because pride's a thing and you don't necessarily want to get traded. And so you want to play well to show the GM that you shouldn't be traded. Then we've got 4 games starting at 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific, starting with Anaheim in Detroit. Anaheim's in Boston tonight. Detroit having hosted Minnesota, of course. This should be highly entertaining. Detroit makes their money with their offense and on the power play. Anaheim's all about playing as well defensively as possible. And the offense has started to come for them lately, too. So that should be a fun one. Also at 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific, Seattle in Tampa Bay. So Tampa Bay not playing today. They're 31-20-4 overall. They get to host a Seattle team that will be coming from Florida. So they're playing in Florida today. And that's a tough back-to-back. That is a very difficult back-to-back for a Seattle team, which is well below 500 and not really close to any kind of a playoff chase. 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific start as well between Colorado and St. Louis. This is always a fun one. Colorado will be coming off of a game in Nashville. St. Louis will be coming off of a game where they host Winnipeg. So both of these teams probably going to be a bit tired. It will be interesting to see how McKinnon plays coming out of Four Nations. He had a great tournament MVP, of course. And for that St. Louis game, I would think you throw Binnington in the net, right? Because Binnington gets the game off today against Winnipeg, so he's got to be playing tomorrow against Colorado, so it'll be Binnington against McKinnon. They were teammates just this past week. But that should be an entertaining game. Also at 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific, the New Jersey Devils in Nashville. So the Devils go from hosting Dallas today to being in Nashville tomorrow. It's not that far away to go to Tennessee from New Jersey, but it's not that close either. So it'll be interesting to see how New Jersey does and if Nashville can start stringing some wins together. It's not an easy back-to-back for Nashville, hosting Colorado and then hosting New Jersey. We'll see how that goes. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. We have one game starting then. It's Toronto in Chicago. So for the Toronto Maple Leafs, they are at home tonight against Carolina. They go into Chicago. Chicago's in Columbus tonight. So both of these teams will be traveling. The Toronto Maple Leafs, of course, pretty strong numbers for Toronto throughout the season. Chicago, though, they can play spoiler. I would not be surprised to see Chicago win one of the games, either against Columbus or against Toronto, because they've been doing the spoiler role pretty well at this point in the season. 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific start between Dallas and the Islanders. So for the New York Islanders, they're 25-23-7. They do not play today. So they get to host Dallas, who will be in New Jersey tonight. So for Dallas, it's back-to-back, and the Islanders need to jump on them early, get some goals, try to wear them down, and just try to keep up the momentum that they seem to have going into the Four Nations break. I only say seem to have because we've seen numerous teams below the playoff line in the East go on a bit of a run. It is difficult to maintain that and get above the line, though, as Montreal's found out recently. So we'll see how the New York Islanders do. Getting a nice long rest should help, and playing against a team that'll be on the second half of a back-to-back should help as well. Then 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, 2 games starting then. So the Flames host San Jose. And for the Flames, I think they're going on a 5-game road trip after this. I know they're going on a road trip after this. Both San Jose and Calgary not playing today, so they should be well rested for this one. San Jose 15-35-7 on the season. Calgary 26-21-8. For San Jose, the break came at the right time. They were really, really struggling, needed to get away from hockey. Hopefully, the players were able to do that and do some sort of a reset, and just for pride's sake, try to win a handful of games. At least get to 20 wins by the end of the season, I would think, if you're San Jose. But either way, Calgary should be a tough one for them because the Flames looking to keep pace in the West. And we round things out with also 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, Vancouver, who are playing in Vegas tonight. Tomorrow night, they are in Utah. Utah will be difficult. Utah will be coming home after a game in LA against the Kings. Again, both of these teams on back-to-backs. Vancouver, of course, dealing with injuries, as I mentioned up here. Utah, a very talented team that at times have looked like they're ready to put things together and go on a bit of a run. Are they going to do that now that they've had the break? Tonight's game in LA and then tomorrow's game at home against Vancouver could give us a really good idea for how things could go for Utah the rest of the way. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always, including your picks for tomorrow's games. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. It's greatly appreciated. I will talk to you again soon.